Okay, good morning, everybody. My name is Christopher Olvera, and I work with the California Energy Commission. This webinar is supported by our Outreach and Education Unit, and today, this webinar, we're going to provide training on the 2013 Non-Residential Energy Standards. Okay, so how do these changes affect the plans examiner? So we're going to go ahead and discuss, go through the forms and talk about what the plans examiner will look for in the field inspector. And then this will actually be a great break, because after that we'll talk about the prescriptive measures. So let's go ahead and go through these, and then we'll take another 15-20 minute break, and we'll zoom and finish for the day. Okay, so for the plans examiner, to my knowledge, builders, plan examiners, you're already verifying, you already have schedules, panel schedules on your electrical, metering schedules, etc. Those are in there if they have them. One particular for the metering, you're definitely going to have panel schedules on your electrical forms. So it's going to be still business as usual. What's going to be different is verifying the actual specifications of those schedules and verifying that they satisfy the requirements in 130.5. And so what we have, our development team created a form. It's called the NRCC, the Certificate of Compliance Non-Residential Electrical ELC1 form. And essentially all the requirements that we just discussed briefly are all outlined on this form. And so what you would do as a plans examiner is verify that all the applicable sections, depending upon CV, service ratings, etc., are completed, and that they match the plans and specifically any type of schedules you see on the electrical plans. So in regards to the service metering requirements, excuse me, please note here that when we talk about these requirements in general, we're talking about newly constructed buildings, but do note, please, that newly installed electrical services, either existing or new, are required to be metered and satisfy the requirements of Table 130.5-A. So generally speaking, talking about newly constructed buildings, but if you're going to have a newly installed electrical service in an existing building, these requirements will also apply. So please do keep that in mind. With that said, in Section A here, the contractor, the electrician, you're going to specify the components and requirements for meeting the metering requirements. So based upon the electrical service rating, they're going to identify the capabilities of the metering device. And so if you see here, the ones that we discussed in Table 130.5-A are listed in columns C through F. And what you'll want to verify is that the capabilities based upon the service rating, meet the requirements. And if you scroll down to the bottom of the page, that table is actually on this form. So verifying compliance with this should be feasible with the table here. What I could see for a larger project, having to include all the services can be lengthy. If you need more than one page, you may have a couple, you may have multiple. So it can be time consuming if you have more than what's allowed in here. Or I should say that what's capable to list here. But with that said, verifying what the ratings are and their capabilities should be fairly straightforward. Can be time consuming if you have multiple panels, which most likely you will. In subsection B, or I should say section B of this form, you have the requirements for disaggregation of electrical circuits. Again, when we're talking about these requirements, we're talking about newly constructed buildings, but please note that these requirements for disaggregation also apply to newly installed switchboards, panels, and motor control centers. So if you have replacements or installation of these types of devices in an existing building, these requirements will apply in Table 130.5-B. So we're talking about newly constructed in general, but please be aware of that fact. With that said, if we scroll down to the next page, again, depending upon the electrical service, the rating, they're going to identify how they're going to disaggregate the location of the building, etc. What type of services it's serving, is it office space, warehouse, etc. Excuse me, they're going to break down how they're going to disaggregate the ratings. And for a general one, if you go to the next page, it's going to tell you in Table 130.5B, 130.5-B will be listed here. So again, the table is included on the form, and it should be straightforward what's required. So when you have them listed here, for a separate one, if you have less than 500,000, with the disaggregated, you may have to have HVAC listed separately from your lighting, etc. So what they should actually have here is not just the type or where it's located, but also what is it providing it to, office space lighting or first floor lighting, HVAC, zone 1, etc. You're going to want to provide those specifics. With that said also, you see here on the right, which was also on the 2 pages before, is that if the field inspector, when out in the field, wants to utilize this form as a checklist, they can do so if it'll be helpful. If they're going to list all the services here, the metering devices, you can easily say that it passed or failed, does it meet the requirements. When it comes to when you're looking at the electrical service room, looking at the sub-panels, the switchboards, etc., you can easily walk through these if you wanted to and say pass and fail while doing your inspection. And as we continue on, the other requirements we discussed, the voltage drop, this is more of a checklist, but they do have some default values of what the typical drop should be based upon the requirements. If you, the plant examiner, wants to have the installing or the electrician or designer include a voltage drop table or their calculations, you can have them provide that. These tables are just a convenience. If applicable, they can use them. But what you're going to want to verify is that they satisfy these requirements. And at field inspection, again, if you want to use this form, you can check it off to see if they meet the percentage droppage allowed at design load. Continuing on, we have the circuit controls for 120-volt receptacles. Remember, for those certain areas, you have to have them provided. Are they controlled, uncontrolled? And again, what they're going to do here is check off. It's more of a listing of those requirements stated here on the certificate of compliance. And then as a field inspector, well, this serves more as a checklist as when you go out in the field, verifying that these areas satisfy the requirements for the 120-volt receptacle requirements listed in 130.5. And so, again, this form needs to be provided on the plans. And at plan review, you want to verify that it's listed. Any specifications, if you have any type of schedules that should specify these requirements, you should include those and verify that they match what's on here, and verify that this form is signed and completed. Again, it comes January 1st, if we have an on-res data registry approved, these forms would also need to be registered with an on-res data registry provider. Okay, and so how does this affect the field inspector? So as we're talking about that form, what I would definitely strongly suggest is that you can utilize the NRCC ELC1 form. Definitely would strongly suggest and encourage you to utilize the form as a checklist. If the builder and contractor get it right, the electrician, where they specify their metering capabilities, where they're located, their sub-panels, controls, etc., switchboards, and it's easy to utilize that checklist and walk through. Definitely, we strongly suggest you utilize that. When you're going out there, again, you're going to want to verify visually that the electrical services are metered. Utilize that checklist to check off each one. You want to verify the switchboards, panels, etc., in the electrical control rooms to verify that the electrical is disaggregated depending upon the service rating. You're going to want to verify the feeder branch circuit size, again the voltage droppage, and also verify the 120-volt receptacles, controlled, uncontrolled, and requirements when applicable. So again, you're going to have a lot of these types of controls, devices installed in a commercial building, especially larger applications, and the assumptions you're going to walk through and verify every single one. What I would say is walk through, spot check for these items, utilize the form, the ELC1 form as a checklist. If they check out, you're good to go to the next area. But if you're checking some of these, you're spot checking, and they're not complying, that's going to raise a red flag. You're going to want to write a correction notice to let the builder know, hey, if this applies to other parts, you're going to need to update these and make these corrections. So definitely spot checking for these items, walking through. If they pan out, then you'll be good to go. Okay, good morning, everybody. My name is Christopher Olvera, and I work with the California Energy Commission. This webinar is supported by our Outreach and Education Unit, and today, this webinar, we're going to provide training
on the 2013 non-residential energy standards.